Welcome to Chat Like a Native. We're really glad you can join us today.
Yeah, great to be diving into this.
So today we're really digging into something pretty fundamental, actually. It's about how we connect, right? Specifically, moving past those automatic
The
greetings.
ones that feel a bit flat.
Exactly. And finding ways to spark, genuine connection through better small talk. It sounds simple, but it can be surprisingly tricky.
It really can. And we've been looking at some practical ways, some strategies to actually improve those first few moments in a conversation.
Yeah, trying to find a shortcut, maybe past the awkwardness to something a bit more meaningful.
That's the idea.
And that's really our mission here. We want to pull out the most useful insights for you so you can feel, more confident and capable in those crucial first interactions.
hmm So if you've ever felt a bit stuck after the whole hi, how are you thing, or you just find conversations sometimes fizzle out, then this deep dive is definitely for you. We're looking at tools to make those chats more interesting and honestly help you connect better, especially helpful if you're navigating these conversations in English.
Okay, so let's unpack the big problem first. That classic opener. Hi, how are you? Why does it so often fall short?
Well, the main issue seems to be its predictability. Everyone expects it.
Right.
So you get these formulaic responses, good, you, and it just stops there.
It feels safe, maybe, but it doesn't really open anything up.
Exactly. It's predictable, and that predictability can actually breed a bit of awkwardness because there's no real spark. You're just running a script.
So it's a massive missed opportunity then. You don't learn anything interesting about the other person.
Nope. And they learn nothing about you. It doesn't really signal confidence either, does it? It's just the default setting.
It keeps things very shallow.
Precisely.
Okay, so how do we break out of that? Let's talk about these alternative strategies, these killer openers.
Yeah, they're basically different approaches you can take right from the start. Not magic phrases, but ways to invite a more genuine response.
Let's jump into the first one, the observational icebreaker. What's that about?
It's pretty much what it sounds like. You comment on something specific in your immediate shared environment.
Okay, so looking around you, basically.
Yeah. What's happening? What do you see? Maybe something the other person is holding or looking at.
But why does pointing something out work better than just asking how someone is?
Well, because it's grounded in your shared reality right there in that moment. You're both experiencing the same thing, the room, the weather, maybe some artwork.
Ah, okay. So it's less personal pressure straight away.
Exactly. It's external, it's low stakes, and it gives you an immediate, concrete thing to connect over. It invites them to agree or disagree or share a little story about it. It just naturally steers away from the generic.
That makes sense. So how do you actually use it well?
First step is just noticing things. Train yourself to scan your surroundings for something interesting. Could be anything, the decor, the lighting, maybe even the background on a video call.
Right.
Then you frame it,
Mm-hmm.
either as a comment or a question, like, I really like the color scheme in here. Feels quite calming, doesn't it? That invites agreement.
Okay. Or a question.
Or a question, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I noticed that sculpture over there. Do you happen to know who the artist is? That leverages curiosity.
I like that. And on video calls, you mentioned backgrounds.
Yeah, definitely. You could say something like, that's a really interesting painting behind you. Is it local? Something specific you can see.
And crucially, you have to follow up, right? The opener's just the beginning.
Absolutely critical. If they answer your question about the artist, you could say, oh, that's fascinating. What do you like most about their work? Show you're actually listening. Or if you commented on a cafe, maybe ask, how did you find this place? I'm always looking for good spots.
Yeah.
It just keeps the conversation flowing naturally.
So you use the observation like a bridge.
Exactly. And you can vary it too. Comment on the atmosphere, the layout, the sound. Keeps it fresh.
Okay, strategy number 2, the personal passion probe. This sounds like it gets more personal.
It does, yeah. The goal here is to invite the other person to talk about something they genuinely care about, moving beyond the environment to show interest in them.
Why focus on passions? What makes that work so well?
Well, think about it. When people talk about something they're passionate about, they light up, right?
Yeah, they get animated.
Exactly. They get energized.
Yeah.
You hear it in their voice. And you learn something memorable about them almost straight away. It's the complete opposite of a generic, I'm fine response.
Okay, but how do you bring this up without it feeling like an interrogation?
It's about genuine curiosity, I think, and framing the question well. Maybe based on something you already know or something you observe. Like if you know they're working on something cool, hey, I heard you're leading that new project. What's been the most exciting part for you so far?
Focusing on the positive. I like that.
Yeah. Or if you know about a hobby. I saw on LinkedIn you ran a 5K last weekend. How did it go? It's specific and shows you noticed.
And the virtual example, again, maybe a book on their shelf.
Perfect example.
Huh?
Oh, I see that book on your shelf. Any good? Or, you've got an author's name book. Are you a big fan?
Yeah.
It connects something visible to their interest.
And it's important not just to ask questions, right?
Right.
You should share a little bit, too.
Definitely. Keeps it balanced. If they talk about running, maybe you add, oh, that's cool. I've actually been thinking about getting into running myself. Makes it a two-way street.
Creates common ground.
Mm-hmm. Or if they're talking about, say, design challenges, you can mention, oh, I love hearing about that stuff. Design's actually my background, too.
And then the next step is to deepen it.
Yeah, based on what they share, ask for a bit more detail. Like, what was the biggest thing you learned from organizing that event? Or got any tips for someone just starting out with their hobby? Open-ended questions are key here.
Definitely moves things beyond surface level. Okay, third one. The problem solution starter. This feels a bit different for small talk, talking about problems.
It might seem counterintuitive, yeah. But it works because it taps into shared experience, often shared challenges. You acknowledge something relatable that might be tricky and invite their perspective or solutions.
So finding common ground in, like, a shared struggle, is that?
Kind of, yeah, but framed collaboratively, not just complaining. Shared struggles build connection, empathy, feeling understood. It shows you're realistic and open to ideas, not just trying to keep things artificially positive.
Okay, so how do you pick a problem and bring it up smoothly?
Think about common pain points in your current context. Workplace stuff is often easy, busy schedules, tricky software, managing meetings. Like, man, I've been in back-to-back calls all morning. How do you keep your energy up? Super relatable for many people.
Right. Or maybe something project-related.
Yeah, like, we're trying to redesign our team workflow, and honestly feeling a bit stuck. How did your team approach that when you did it? It's specific and invites practical advice.
It immediately sets a practical tone, asking for their expertise.
Exactly. You're valuing their insight. Asking things like, any hacks you found for keeping virtual meetings engaging? Or, what tools really made that process smoother for you?
And you need to chip in with your own idea, too, right, to keep it balanced.
Crucial point, yeah. You don't want to just sound like you're offloading. Offer something you've tried. I've started doing these quick 5-minute stretch blocks between calls. Seems to help me refocus a bit. Shows you're also trying things.
Makes it reciprocal. And then how do you keep that thread going?
You dig a little deeper into their suggestion. That tool sounds interesting. How did you actually come across it? Or, I'd love to hear a bit more about how you fit that into your routine. It keeps a problem-solving vibe going and can lead to some really useful exchanges.
Okay, so those three are great starting points. Observing, passions, and problem solving. But like you said, the opener isn't everything. How you continue the chat matters just as much.
Absolutely. A brilliant opener can just die if the follow-through isn't there. And active listening is probably the most critical piece here.
Which is more than just, not talking.
Right. It's about showing you're processing what they're saying. Techniques like paraphrasing are good restating their point in your own words. Okay, so if I'm getting this right, you found the new software easier once you got past that initial hump.
Shows you actually heard the specifics.
Exactly. Or validating their feelings. Wow, that must have been pretty challenging at first, figuring all that out. Shows empathy.
Yeah, that feels much more connecting than just nodding along. And asking good follow-up questions is tied into this, I guess.
It flows right from listening well. Asking open-ended questions, the ones that need more than a yes or no. Instead of, did you like the conference? Maybe ask, what was the most surprising thing you learned at the conference?
Get some sharing more.
Definitely. It invites more depth.
And we can't forget nonverbals, especially with so many video calls these days.
So important. In person or on camera, your body language is constantly sending signals. Eye contact or looking at the camera shows you're present.
Right, not looking down or away.
Yeah. And, a little nod, maybe leaning in slightly, shows you're engaged, encourages them to keep talking, and of course a genuine smile goes a long way in warming things up.
These are definitely skills, though. They take practice.
Oh, for sure. You don't just master this overnight. Role-playing with a friend can be really helpful. Low stakes, you can try out the openers, get some feedback.
Takes the pressure off performing live.
Exactly. And recording yourself, especially for video interactions, can be super insightful. Maybe a bit cringy to watch back.
Probably.
But you really see how you come across, your tone, your body language, how your questions land.
Very useful, I imagine. Any other practice tips?
Just keeping a simple journal, maybe. Jotting down quick notes after a conversation. What opener did I try? How did it go? What felt good? What felt awkward? What could I tweak next time? That reflection really helps cement the learning.
So, wrapping this up then, it seems mastering small talk isn't really about having a list of topics memorized.
Not at all. It's about choosing strategies that deliberately move you away from the predictable script and open the door for actual connection.
Whether that's by noticing the shared environment, tapping into someone's genuine interests, or even finding common ground in everyday challenges.
Right. Those approaches cut through the awkwardness much faster.
And when you combine those openings with really listening, asking thoughtful follow-ups, and being aware of your nonverbals,
Then you're building a solid toolkit for much better interactions, wherever they happen.
it makes that point that small talk doesn't actually have to be small.
Exactly. It can be the start of something much more significant.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you listening. Consider this. How could using these simple tools, observing, asking about passions, discussing challenges, unlock more than just better small talk? What bigger opportunities, what deeper understanding could open up in your conversations, maybe even in your learning journey, if you approach those first moments with a bit more intention and genuine curiosity?
Definitely something to think about.
Indeed. Thanks for diving deep with us today on Chat Like Native.